Okay, so in this video we're going to do some more changing the subject, but this time there'll be either 2 or more steps. And so it's a bit like solving equations, like I said before. So we're going to just work through this first one we've got. We want to make x the subject of y equals mx plus c. Well, the first thing that's happening to x is it's multiplying by m, and then there's a plus c. So I'm going to get rid of that plus c by subtracting c. So we're going to get y subtract c. Now, you can't actually simplify that, so we'll just leave it as y subtract c equals mx, and then I'm going to divide by m on both sides. Now, I don't want to just divide this bit by m, I want to divide the whole thing by m like this, so that x as the subject is y minus c over m, and you can either write that as x equals, or you can just leave it as x on the right hand side like this. So I'll just highlight that one as the answer. Now, I might not do the red crossing out for this one. Let's see if we can do it without. So the last thing that we've got here is this plus c that I need to get rid of. So that's just going to be a subtract c equals x over b. And then I need to do the opposite of divide by b, which is multiply this by b. Now, you can't just multiply the first part by b, both of them need to be multiplied by b. So we use brackets to show that I'm multiplying the whole thing by b like this. So the answer for this is just that x equals b brackets a minus c. And of course you could expand the brackets if you wanted to. So because I'm trying to make x the subject, I'm trying to get it by itself, I'm going to take this 3p, this negative 3p, and I'm going to plus it to the other side. So it's going to be 4t plus 3p equals 2x. Like I said, I don't need to do these red bits if you don't want to, but what I'm really doing now is I'm going to divide by 2 like this, but I'm just going to do it straight in my writing of blue. So I'm going to divide by 2, which means I need to divide this side by 2 as well. So my answer with x as the subject is 4t plus 3p over 2. Okay, in this question that we've got up at the top, I'm trying to get x by itself. Remember, this is x subtract p, and then it's being divided by q. So the first thing I'm going to do is multiply by q. That will cancel out the q, so that I get x minus p equals 3 times q, which is 3q. Now I just need to do the opposite of subtract p to this side, which is just going to be plus p, so that's 3q plus p. Okay, the next example, don't let the squareds scare you at all. They're not going to do anything at all. So I'm trying to get x by itself. I think the thing that's in the way at the beginning is this m squared, so I'm going to get rid of that m squared by taking it away from the other side. So it's going to be n squared take away m squared. And then I'll get rid of the q by dividing. So I will have x equals n squared minus m squared over q. If you want to do this red technique of crossing things out, you should continue doing that, but I want to try and push you to doing some of it in a slightly more sophisticated way. So to get rid of this divide by c, I'm going to multiply it up to the other side. Now, when I multiply up to the other side, you could write dc, but we usually do alphabetical order, so I would multiply it and have it as cd. And then because I crossed the c off on this side, I would have ax plus b. Now I want to get rid of the plus b, so the way I get rid of that plus b is I subtract it from the other side, and then my last step is to get rid of that a that's next to the x, so I will do cd minus b, and I want the whole thing to be divided by a. So you can see in all of these questions we've got x equals at the end, whereas at the beginning it was kind of wrapped up in lots of other variables. So in your turn, I don't want you to make x the subject, I want you to make y the subject of these equations. So pause the video and have a go. Okay, so I think y is being divided by 3 and then adding f, so I want to go in reverse. The first thing I want to do is get rid of that plus f by subtracting f. So it's going to be g subtract f equals y divided by 3. And then I want to do the opposite of dividing by 3, which is multiplying by 3, but that's going to require some brackets to show that you're multiplying the whole thing by 3. So our answer is 3 brackets g minus f equals y. And like I said before, you could write these switched around as well. So making y the subject here, the first thing I'll do is get rid of that h squared. So I will do n squared subtract h squared, and then I'm going to do the opposite of multiplying by 2, which is just to divide this by 2. So that is n squared minus h squared over 2. Okay, number 3. Again, I'm trying to get y as the subject. I'm going to get rid of that x at the beginning, so I'll do y divided by p equals q minus x. And now, because I've got rid of this x by subtracting it to the other side, I'm going to get rid of this p by multiplying by p. So y is going to be equal to p brackets q minus x. Obviously, you could write q minus xp, but we usually put the factor at the front of it. And if you wanted to expand the brackets, you could do. So you'll find sometimes there are alternative versions, but they do end up with the same thing. Okay, question 4, subtract a, divide by b. So I think my first thing is to multiply by b. And when I do 2b times b, I get 2b squared. And then I'm going to plus the a, so I either get 2b squared plus a, or you could have written a plus 2b squared. Either of those would be fine, but I'm just going to go with this one because it's the first part that I wrote down. So I'm trying to make y the subject, so the first thing I'll do is plus the a to the other side, so xy equals 5a, and then I'm going to divide by x to make y the subject, because that's multiplying by x, so it's just 5a divided by x. And then the last one that we've got here, there's a mixture of different numbers and things. Again, I'm trying to make y the subject. So I think what I'll do first of all, I'm going to just deal with this minus 2 by plussing 2 to here. So I get 6 plus a equals 3y plus c. Then I'm going to get rid of this plus c by subtracting it from the other side. So that is 6 plus a subtract c equals 3y. And then I'm going to divide by 3, and I'm going to divide the whole thing by 3 like this, so that we've got what y as the subject is here. So there is some practice questions linked in the description of the video, so you can always try some more. Just a quick little side note, if you wanted to do this divide by 3, you could have actually divided each part by 3, and you would have got something that is equivalent. So you would have ended up with 6 divided by 3 is 2, a divided by 3, and c divided by 3. That is totally equivalent to this. So I'm just going to stick with the one in yellow, but you might end up with some answers that look a little bit different. Okay, in the next video, we're going to do squaring and square rooting. Found this video helpful? Then why not drop it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you'd like the next video in the playlist, you can click here to be taken straight to it. And as always, wishing you the very best for all your studies.